Before I start, I take pictures and I'm nervous. I want a picture of all of you guys. Can you stand up? Big wave. 3, 1, 2, 3.
You got a microphone, speaking of.
Good morning, everybody. Ever since I was a little kid, I was fascinated by space. I remember watching E.T., Star Wars, and thinking about just the wide open expanse of this concept of space, and how free it was and open it was, and how it was such a great platform for exploration, and it just seemed a very fascinating place for me to kind of explore. As I got older, I've been kind of still contemplating this idea of the possibilities of space and what could possibly be out there. But after I realized that I'm not probably the last starfighter anymore, and my chances of going out there and being an astronaut or creating some kind of tin can spaceship were over, as an adult I've become kind of fascinated with the possibility of spaces and how spaces affect how we learn, how we interact. And anyone who's kind of walked around Lab in the last couple of days can appreciate the understanding of how an effective space can improve learning and just kind of create a place where people want to engage and interact. So I'm going to be talking about kind of how to create a space for students to authentically blog and communicate and share with each other. So I've started very, very macro, literally out in space, but I want to kind of narrow it down to somewhere a little bit more specific, which is my classroom at UWC in Singapore. And when I first walked into this space, it was what I call a dead space. There was nothing in there. It was beige, it was gray, it was dead. I felt like they'd carted out the hospital bed, and there I was. So I started making some changes, right? So I knew that I wanted a sofa area in there. I knew I wanted some plants in there, and I knew I wanted an area where the kids could interact. I'm a very visual person, so I wanted posters and signage and things around that brought the space to life. So that was my first mission. This is my classroom 10 weeks in, and it's not even close to being done, but it's getting there. So the first thing I did was I gave ownership to the students, because I think if you want students to engage in a space, they have to own it. So after begging and begging my admin, hey, can I have some plants? I get some plants, we're gonna get some plants. Oh, we'll get them. I said, you know what, screw it. I took my mentor group and I said, everyone tomorrow, please bring in anywhere from $5 to $26. There's a plant store down the street, and we're gonna walk down there, we're gonna buy some plants. And this will be your plant. You're going to take responsibility for it, and you're not going to let it die. I'm going to spruce up our room, and you can do it. So we walked down there, had a fantastic day. The kids were so excited. We were just chatting, laughing, enjoying the sun, and we all bought the plant, and we brought it back. Every morning when they come to my mentor group now, the plant station is like the place to be. Like, oh, how's your plant doing? Oh, mine's like totally well. Oh, I'm going to what? And I'm just like, don't overwater it. Relax. Just leave it alone. It's a plant. But it's been a place that's brought us together, and so not only did it make my space look more inviting, more organic, more real, but it's been a conversation point and a place for the kids to kind of gather around. As you can see, the couches came in thanks to our librarian Katie Day and my colleague Paula Ginto, who knew that I was desperate for these couches, and next thing I knew, someone had donated a bunch of furniture to our school, and it ended up in my classroom. Right? So, because I was looking for it. So now, this is our space. And in this space, as you can see, it's very comfortable. While this was playing, I have an instrumental Beastie Boys track that I play a lot of times when we write. And so I tried to have the music playing, but Kino doesn't let you do that, so it's kind of annoying. But Beastie Boys should be playing. And we do a lot of stuff in these groups. And we sit around and we construct meaning, we collaborate on text, and it works. We communicate together, we work in isolation. And we always talk about tech as if it's the focus of everything that happens in our classroom, right? And if you came into my classroom, I would hate for you to see this. Because as you can see in the pictures I've showed you before, the tech is the last thing that I want anyone to notice. What we do is we connect, we collaborate. I know you saw the C words we're saying over and over again. I feel kind of like a cliche saying up here, but it's honestly what happens in the room. It's what happens in that space. One thing that seems to be kind of the overarching cloud over our head while we're doing these cool things is this idea of rigor. right? Oh, it sounds like fun. You have plants in your room, and you're playing the Beastie Boys on the couch, and kids are sitting around. What are you guys really doing? Where's the rigor? How are you going to get these kids ready? But how we do that is we are setting up etiquette and protocols on how we interact in this space. So we have discussion guidelines, and we're practicing something that we call the table, which is kind of based on the Harkness method. And we've created these discussion guidelines, and they're also all over the room, and they're on Flickr if you want to use them. All of these pictures have been found by students through Creative Commons on Flickr, and it was their job to decide how to connect the idea to the picture. And there's simple things like define terms, don't cut people off, use a citation from text when you're having a conversation. And this is the result, right? The kids seem to be happy. Yesterday got 4 or 5 emails from parents that were through the roof about the stuff we're doing in our classroom. And we have a happy, kind of cohesive bunch. But remember, I said I believe in the possibility of spaces. And while setting up, I think the first step is your actual organic real space. A lot of us spend a lot of time in another kind of space as well. So this is also my classroom. And this is our class blog. And this is our online space. And so the second kind of secret I've learned is once you've created that space that makes your students bond and connect and create, you want to mirror them, and you want to have the same sensibilities. It should look nice. It should feel nice. It should have plants, so to speak. And so on our blog, I've been blogging with students now for probably 7 years without much success. It always ends up being another dead space, another empty hospital room. Because it's always just, here's your homework assignment, here's what's due. It becomes, no offense to Moodle, but it becomes another LMS. And so this time around, I thought, hey, you know what? I'm going to bring in some couches, I'm going to bring in some plants, and I'm going to do what I do in my classroom, in my online space. So here we talk about, a grade 7 student actually said, our online space is like the table, but online. And a grade 7 student said that. I was like, yes, that's exactly what it's like. We do the same type of things. So here we talk about our learner profile in school and our mentor situations. But I also share it with them, as I would with most of you. We talk about music. I give them advice on writing. I share my favorite videos online. I know this seems kind of inappropriate, I'm thinking that now, but this is a great video if you've never seen it on how to be alone. Trust me, Google how to be alone video, it's fantastic. We introduced our neighbors, our classroom, the teachers who are working next door, who are also working in these spaces with us. And we share each other's work. For whatever reason, I don't know what's happening this year, but I have students blogging on their own without any kind of push from me. I just checked my Google Reader last night. I've been gone for 2 days. I have 156 blog posts from my students. Unsolicited, not assignment stuff. And this is the kind of stuff, Pira's talking about her love of big cats. I have a student who's obsessed with planes, so he made some simulation where he's a pilot. He wrote about that. People talking about Michael Phelps, and so on and so on and so on. I only have 5 minutes, so I can't show you examples, but these blogs are really starting to kind of bloom and sprout. We also have a protocol for how we interact on these spaces as well, just like we do in our real spaces. So how to comment on the blog without just saying, dude, you're great, I love it. But teaching students how to engage in conversations online. So a quick review. 1, create a space in real life that is authentic and true to you and engages and invites students to be open and comfortable in it. 2, mirror that space online. Create a class blog and engage with your students in a way that is beyond, here's your next homework assignment. Set protocols to interact both offline and online, and be consistent in these protocols. And you get this. It's fun, and the kids have fun, and they're engaged, and it's interesting, and it's new every single day. It doesn't feel like school. So this is a sign that I actually have. This is a physical sign outside my classroom, and this was created by a grade 7 student who's a really, really amazing illustrator. And she just put this on her blog one day and said, hey, I thought about, I always ask them, please bring in artwork, and she created this. So what I've done is I've actually put her poster outside with a little QR code that leads to her blog, and said, this is by Wendy, grade 7, and I put on top, this is your blog, your space, what will you create, share, blah, 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 blah. And again, the message on this is, this was her blog post. Okay. So, I'm going to wrap up, I know I'm going a little over time, but I'm almost done. A couple of weeks ago, I did a webinar on authentic blogging, and I had the privilege to work with 3 amazing people. And they came up with these quotes that I think kind of are my takeaways, of 3 things on how to kind of enrich and authenticate student blogging. It's an infrastructure as invitation, not obligation. And Bud Hunt said this, and I think is a really, really important point. We create these spaces and we show students how to create the spaces, but we don't force them to do it. It doesn't become, put your homework here, answer these questions here, this is your portfolio. Because as soon as you do that, it becomes a dead space. And so create inviting spaces on and offline, and then we tell kids, hey, what do you got? And let them come to it. I have some students who haven't blogged at all yet. I actually, last night, this is great for my story, got an email from a girl in the 7th grade, Avery, and out of the blue, she said, I'm sorry I haven't posted anything yet, but I don't know what to post yet. And that was it, that was her whole email. And I just emailed her, I said, it's fine, take your time, right? Find your voice, when you're ready, you'll know what to share. Just when you are, though, take that first step, and you'll be okay. So I'm not forcing them to do it. I love this idea as invitation, not obligation. The second thing was, we all deal with this idea of nuance and screaming into the void, right? Some of us do it louder and more often than others, but we all have this sense of, we have something to say, we want to be heard. So allow your students to have a chance to play with and find their voice. And creating blogs really, really does that. And also, I like this idea of it's valuable to be public and wrong in public. Help students understand that these spaces are for exploration and not showcasing products. So often we say, oh, don't publish that, it's not perfect, or it has to be perfected writing to be online. And as soon as you do that, you tell a kid, hey, your voice isn't good enough to be heard, wait till it is. And for some of us who are writers, our voice will never be good enough. So as soon as we do that, we limit the amount of information and the voice that students have. So it's okay to have a blog post that's riddled with typos if you're in 7th grade. It's okay as long as you're kind of building that voice. Okay, so why do I have this slide in there? Let's see if this will help. Yes. I don't know if these are the answers. Like I said, I've been doing this for 7 years, trial and error. Some classes work, some don't. But something special seems to be happening this year. And I feel like it's like a little sprout, right? Back to the plant analogy. And I don't want to jinx it. So I don't want to like water it too much. I don't want to put too much sun. Something's happening where I leave town for 2 days and I get 154 unsolicited blog posts. And so what I've shared with you today are some ideas of why this might be working, right? I'm really interested in talking to you about this topic, as anybody knows. So we always talk about extending the conversation. If you see me around, or if you're interested in getting started, or if you've been blogging with your kids, or if any of this stuff makes sense, or if you have questions, please follow me on Twitter, follow the conversation. I've been blogging about this a lot, and I look forward to talking to you about it. So thank you very much.